Dealers stacked $1.1 billion in yesterday's close. I'm going to show you exactly what they're defending today. We called out this morning that the 0 DTE would be pinning at 684. That's pretty much what's happened. Most traders, while we're looking at this, are glued to this. And this is what we started with. GAN-FAN, Bollinger Bands, a bunch of moving average, stochastic MACD, multi-time frame money flow, and Williams percent R. In the meantime, institutions look at data. What you're going to get with the Vault, the Edge Dash, the Sector Rotation Dash, the GammaDash, the GARO Pro, which this table is part of with a score ranking here, and the Mag 7 Rotation Dash. I'm going to show you a quick cool feature with the Edge Dash. What this does is we put in the mock. So let's say today's mock would be 1.8 billion to the buy side. If it's a sell side, you just uncheck that. So 1.8 billion. Okay. Focus your attention down here. The projected gap up tomorrow based on a bunch of inputs that I shall not tell you, or else you would be able to do this yourself, shows that the projected gap up would be 5.23, so $5.23, opening at 688. So between the mock, when the mock gets released, and market close, we program these in here, and then we can buy our 1 DTE options. So RSI, volume, VWAP, this takes the place of a bunch of charts. You don't have to have 6 monitors to impress yourself. The dollar, the 10-year yield futures, the VIX, VIX1D, the VVIX, which is the volatility of the VIX, and the tick. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and call up the sector rotation dash. So the folks that have purchased the Vault, you don't have to have all these things called up, right? You just, hey, I don't want to see the GammaDash, get rid of that guy. I don't like the GARO Pro, get rid of that guy. Mag 7 Dash, same thing. And all of these have mobile friendly scaling. So look down at the bottom right here, gets bigger. The key features of these dashboards, not so much the actual ticker symbols, but the program row. And many hundreds, if not thousands of man hours went into this. So the first reaction of the Fed was up. So we'll see here. We'll mark this level on our chart. And program buy, NVIDIA, Tesla, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, ADA, BNB, Doge, AVAX, and LINK. All program buys with the crypto rotation dash. So now I'm going to zoom out to the 5-minute. And see that we have program buy in small caps and financials. We're on the SPY 5-minute. All of these features have hover to tell you what they are and what the recommendation is. So big thing here, call premium winning. The first move was up. Anything trading above this initial FOMC line going forward is bullish. Anything below this line is bearish. So Mag 7, not much activity. The biggest program buy is the financials and small caps. So you can see here, purple is pretty good upward price movement. And then the volume here as well. So the math running behind the scenes here has small caps and financials. So what we do here at GammaBulldog, there's 4 of us, all retired Navy pilots. We have 3 stocks in each one of the spider sectors. So when a program buy or sell kicks off, we can go to them and see which ones are actually moving the most, right? So with the SPY, Meta, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway, the big dogs don't all move together all the time. So you really need to find out which one is moving. All right, now we're in a program sell on the crypto dash, Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, a bunch of things. Still a program buy in the financials. Looking over here on the Mag 7 rotation dash, we have 3 indices. We didn't hard code the Dow into that because it's really not that exciting to trade. So you have 3 indices hard coded. Then you have the Mag 7, and then for today's purposes, I put in some banks. I put in JPM, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Morgan Stanley. So it looks like over here, Morgan Stanley's getting the most volume, along with Bank of America and Goldman Sachs. So it's pretty neat how you have all of this data on one monitor, and you don't have to have 6 monitors with 6 charts open on each one. So it's looking pretty bullish post FOMC. I haven't even looked at the press release. Let's see if Financial Juice has anything. Fed says 4 officials see at least 3 quarter-point cuts for 2026. So earlier today, what I said, the market has baked in a 25 basis point cut. It's not good if Powell hints at a pause. I think we're going to rip into the, I know we're going to rip into the new year with a 25 basis point cut, no guidance change, and the dot plot shows more than 1 cut in 2026. So bingo, 3 quarter-point cuts for 2026. Sure enough, 25 basis point cut. It's looking pretty bullish. All right, statements out. Initial reaction was up. We have the FOMC price at 682.86 or thereabouts. I'll refine that here in a bit. Anything above this line is bullish going forward. Below this line is bearish. Dealers are defending 684 today. We'll see what happens when Jerome Powell gets online here in 24 minutes. We'll be back. All right, while we're waiting for Jerome Powell to speak here in about 4.5 minutes, I'll give you another update on what's going on here on this monitor that you're seeing. This is the Gamma Conviction Oscillator, which I'll flip back to this old school stuff where we had the stochastic, the MACD, the money flow, and the Williams percent R. We designed the gamma conviction oscillator to replace all of those. So in the meantime, when I signed off 5 minutes after the press release, we had a program buy on Google with a liquidity missile, which comes with the GARO Pro, as well as these buy signals. And same thing with Tesla, the liquidity missile. So I have the Edge Dash with the projected mock on it, which I had just thrown in there earlier. I'm going to get rid of that guy. Bring back up the sector rotation dash. So everything's pretty quiet right now, waiting for Jerome to come online. Let's look at the GammaDash here. This is full size. We can make that like it was before to be mobile. So you can also just get rid of it if you want. Goes bye-bye. Then mobile friendly scaling. And the big things here we're looking at to pierce through levels are the dealer implied exposure and the dealer delta. Dealer delta might be new to most people. It's basically dealer delta for dummies. It's dealers hedging activity in shares. So green, bullish activity, red, bearish. So if we're going to pierce through the 685 call wall, we want to see Dix and dealer delta green, which one of the reasons I don't spend like what I used to do with these charts is I'd spend Saturday and Sunday going through different stocks, plotting trends and channels and whale levels and pivots. With the GammaDash, you really just need to know the gamma flip level, the put and the call wall. And as the price is approaching, there's a huge call wall, by the way, up at 700, but there's some positive gamma around 685-ish, which is why we're pinned at 684. So as it approaches the intermediate call wall, positive gamma, I'll look at Dix and dealer delta. The bright red here is the 10-year yield, and you put that in user inputs and settings. And I have that set at 4.1. So as it approaches 4.1 or goes above 4.1, the 10-year yield futures, then that thing will go from green to yellow to red. So like any other Fed day, it gets pretty volatile. I don't have the Edge Dash called up with the VIX. We're on the SPY 15-minute for swings. I'll look at the 1 minute at mock, the market on close press release at 3:50 Eastern time to 3:51, and I'll be looking for a buy or sell imbalance, kind of the same thing we did earlier with the Fed reaction. We'll do the same thing with the mock, and I'll program that into the Edge Dash and enter 1 DTE options if it's a pretty big mock for the SPY and the other stuff is conducive to it. So right now in the bottom left, we're in a program buy for the fins, financials, and small caps. Nothing going on over here with Mag 7. We're just in a holding pattern for the next 10 seconds. Crypto on the top left, that's mobile scaled as well. We have the top 10 from CoinGecko hard coded in, and I'll update this every month. There's a bunch of folks that have already bought the vault, so they're expecting these to be updated. If there's no change, there's no change. One neat thing as well is you can input up to 5. So we'll say XLM USD. So you can get dynamically expanded rows going down, columns stay the same, obviously. The more program activity there is, the wider this thing will get. So here comes Jerome. Is that a purple tie? Purple tie.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people.
Changed as much. He has mentioned in the past that they put a lot more importance currently on employment/unemployment. And they know that the tariffs are going to be transitory as far as inflation. Sounds like they're going to end QT and go back to QE. They've been doing that for the past few weeks, so no surprise there. The GammaDash is looking pretty solid. This is one of the neat rows that we put in here is the premium pressure. So call premiums are winning. If there's going to be a downturn, what I would expect to see on the dash, if it was a violent downturn, is there would probably be a program sell for the SPY. There'd be a liquidity turd, this brown emoji. You know, we had to choose between a turd and a bomb, and I went with the brown turd. So if you're easily offended, I guess you're just going to have to deal with it. This is great. It's pretty bullish. We're above the gamma flip, so dealers are buying dips. We got a liquidity missile. We're starting to move up. Crypto's quiet. GammaDash is looking solid. We've been in backwardation on the VIX curve for a few weeks as well. It goes back to normal for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. It was very hard to code in these spark lines on this dash, and with Pine V6 on TradingView, it's impossible to get them colored and look like that. So you can see here, dealer implied exposure is increasing, which is a solid thing. HIRO's strong like bull, currently at 1. We have that coded to be binary, so it's either -1, and then it goes decimal points up to +1. So the way we have this coded for VANNA, and VANNA is a second order Greek, which measures change in delta for any given increase or decrease in the level of implied volatility. The way we have that coded is if you have red or yellow VANNA and green volatility gamma on an uptrend, that's fuel for the fire. And same thing going the other way. If you're in a downtrend, you're going to see the same thing. You might see red or yellow VANNA and green volatility gamma. So in this section, the keys are call premium winning, neutral, or put premium winning. So if this thing is going to tip over, the first few things we're going to notice is HIRO is going to start ticking down from the solid 1. It might say 0.98, 0.86, 0.4, and then go to 0, then negative. And call premium winning is going to shift from call premium winning to neutral. and then you wait. If you see a liquidity turd, get out of Dodge right then. If you don't, you're going to see the neutral premiums go to put premium winning and get out of Dodge. These last two rows here are just an estimation of the mock, and it's super conservative. So they're red because there's the math running behind the scenes is assuming that the mock is going to be a sell. All right, we got a program buy again in Tesla and Goldman Sachs. Now it's just Goldman Sachs. So we had program buy in the financials, and then it kicked off over here to specifically Goldman Sachs, which I mentioned earlier. This is a Mag 7 dash, but you can put 5 more in, and I just went ahead and put the top 5 financials in here. So let's change Google to Goldman Sachs and see what's going on there. Nice. So you see there's a bunch of ghost pivots, and the way I have the ghost pivots coded in user inputs for settings is for SPY. So they're dialed in for SPY. You get the ghost pivots with it. You can dial it in for whatever stock you're looking at. So we'll get rid of that. Goldman Sachs has pretty much been launched since the press release. So remember on the first part of the video, the first thing we saw was the program buy on IWM and XLF. If you don't want to play individual stocks and the indices and you just want to play the indice itself, and you bought as soon as you saw that there was a program buy on IWM, you'd be doing pretty darn good right now. 251 up to 254 with weeklies. That's a solid return. And same thing here with the GammaDash. A lot of these rows stay the same. The VIX curve's not going to change. The SPX trend is there. So when you're on a separate ticker, you know what the SPX is doing. The 10-year stays the same. And these rows here will go ahead and change based on the ticker. So the GammaDash is pretty versatile. When you buy the GammaDash by itself or the Vault, all of the instruction manuals come with it. And don't let this scare you, but it's about a 20-page user manual for the GammaDash. And why is it? Because I went row by row and all the different possible combinations to make it as user-friendly as possible, so you could just have it printed out and look at it and go, if this is red and this is green, it might not go through the call wall. Look out below, right? All right, the SPY's in a program buy on the sector rotation dash, along with small caps, energy, and financials. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Morgan Stanley are program buys. So by putting those 5 banks / financials in the Mag 7 dash, and I get the program buy over here in financials on the sector rotation dash, I can go right over here. And by the time someone on Main Street or your average retail trader knows, I can go ahead and fire away on my iPhone Robinhood, which I use to get weeklies of Goldman Sachs or Bank of America, or just the indices themselves or the sectors. Now let's questions and answers are starting. This always gets spicy. soon as the Q&A started, the 15-minute candle went down. So some people would call that a bull flag, which I do as well, but I've evolved past that. That's with this stuff here and the TD sequentials and the Bollinger Bands. And I have all this stuff. If anybody wants it, just send me a direct message. I had it up on TradingView, but they hid it because it's a mashup of a bunch of different things. And they told me that, you know, they don't want to take up storage space on their servers with stuff that's already available. But I condense this all into one script. So it has the GAN fan and the TD sequential, the Bollinger Bands, all the moving averages, the Hull buys and sells. So what I can do if anybody wants it is I can put it up as a private invite only script and add you via your trading view username. So see, I can turn off the GAN labels. I can get rid of the TD labels, clean it up a little bit. AI spending will continue. Solid. Be nice to see NVIDIA come up with a program buy here after that comment. Things that have changed on the GammaDash here is dealer delta has gone red. Here's another cool little indicator that I use for day trading. It's called a reversal snapper. I don't even have this for sale. It's really pretty awesome. These dots have to do with Bollinger Bands and whether or not the VIX is below or above the median on the Bollinger Band. This thing is really spot on for day trading for SPX, QQQ, IWM, SPY, etc. But right now it's just taking up space, so we'll get rid of that guy. This gamma conviction oscillator light, once again, is available on my TradingView for free. And it took the place of all of these guys here, the MACD, stochastic, money flow, and Williams percent R. If you like what you see, here's the link to the vault on Gumroad. I'm awaiting to get allowed into the new TradingView store. They let some people in initially that had been with TradingView for years and years and years, i.e. DeMark, Lux Algo. So my application is pending. In the meantime, all this stuff's available on Gumroad. I could have put it on WAP or Etsy or Amazon, but this is pretty much the digital hub where most people do their stuff. What you're going to get is all of the user manuals for all of these things. Some of them don't need a user manual, right? Then you can go to TradingView and get this for free. GARO Pro is pretty complicated. That's the one that has the buy and sell triangles as well as the liquidity missiles and the turd bombs. This score up here goes from -2 to 2 in increments of 1. So right now it's pretty neutral. SPY's looking really good. So back to the user manuals is when I get let into the TradingView store, I don't think all of our products are going to be on the TradingView store because the 20-page user manual for the GammaDash isn't allowed. You can't really put a link to a user manual. They want you to actually type everything out and put multiple screenshots, which I don't think is conducive to anybody. So I think that the more complex things like the GammaDash will always stay on Gumroad. It's really awesome to see the SPY just ripping since the press release. I would expect to swing the other way once he started talking. All right, let's add energy to the program buy. There's nothing. I call the GammaDash what's going on under the hood, so the diagnostics. There's nothing going on under the hood right now that would lead us to believe that this thing is going to tip over. So rather than looking at 6 monitors and 40 charts, because there's probably 40 charts worth of info at least on this screen right now to include crypto. It's pretty nice as a former group of fighter pilots. We flew Hornets and Super Hornets off of aircraft carriers. And we also helped develop the F-35, and we know how that cockpit display is everything is in the 4th generation fighters. Not everything is fused together. So this would be the display of a Block 2 and above Super Hornet, which is a flat panel display, and also an F-35 as a flat panel display that you can move stuff around. The problem with Pine V6 and TradingView is you can't fuse stuff together from other scripts. So what we did was, once we coded something into one of these table/dashes or oscillators, we would take that code and put it into the other dash or oscillator to get that fused look without the scripts actually talking to each other, because they physically can't. You can get live feeds in, which we, yes. But as far as the scripts talking to themselves, we pretty much made it look like all this stuff is talking to each other by using the code in one in another, i.e. a lot of the program buy algorithms that are in the crypto sector rotation and the Mag 7 are the same. And what we did was we went through financial journals, articles, newspapers, figured out exactly what Citadel and SIG and any of the other market makers do, i.e. what happens to volume and price when a program buy kicks in. We back tested it. We back tested the Mag 7 rotation dash to be 96.4-ish %, which is pretty easy when you're only dealing with 7 stocks. So we have this thing tightened down with a QQQ filter, and you can change it to be less tight. All right, there you are. You can go asymmetric, and you'll get more hits. So if you have it set like that, you'll probably get a lot more Tesla false alerts. So we like to run it tight. So by having that not selected, you really have to do your due diligence. You're going to get more alerts, but some of them might be false flags. Like I said earlier, you can change the, so you can go GLXY for Galaxy. There you go. Of course, Galaxy's ripping just by the purple. We colored purple and gold for royalty. We got a nice buy triangle on the GARO Pro. And what we do here, if you don't want to see all that stuff, here's all the upgrades. So if you get the GARO Lite for free on TradingView, these will be on there, but they're not functioning. It just lets you know this stuff's available. And it wasn't designed to be an upsell. It was just, you get to a point when you're coding this stuff that it's easier just to leave this stuff in here. Plus, it shows you what you're missing by having the light version. So if you don't want to see the rockets or the turds, you can get rid of those there. The buy signals, you might say, well, why didn't you get a buy signal? Well, we actually did. Why didn't you get a buy signal here? Is because this thing's pretty tight. We're not just going to say, here's the bottom. That's what the liquidity missile is for. This buy signal is, hey, this thing's in a pretty strong uptrend. It's time to jump in. So you can turn that off right there, multi-time frame. And then you can change the time frame that the calculation is at. So for example, if you're on the 1 minute chart, this algorithm that's running in the background is still going to be looking at the 4-hour time frame, not the 1 minute. So you're not going to, if you're on the 1 minute time frame, these things would be all over the place. So we were savvy enough when we tested this thing to just say, okay, just show these triangles based on the time frame that you have selected here. And the user manual has all the recommendations of what to do with all this stuff. Obviously, it comes defaulted to the tightest. 15 minutes is looking strong. You go program buy on the SPY. Add to the mix and energy. Yep. So the filter on the, you might be saying to yourself, why is the program buy on the SPY not being shown on this? It's because the filter is a lot tighter on the Mag 7 dash. So now here's where it gets really nice to see that this stuff's working across platforms, across codes, as the QQQ was added to the program buy row as well. So I added the options Fusion Core Pro to the bottom. And what the Pro does, that the light version that you can get for free on TradingView, is you're not going to get all these alerts, these down arrows, and eventually an up arrow. So that's just another oscillator that you can throw on here. So as you get down to the 5 minute, the buys and sells and liquidities are 100% accurate, but you just get more of them. So sometimes you step out to the 15 and it's okay. Yep. All right, back over here. QQQ, IWM, Tesla, and Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs dropped off again. So what's been the strongest since the press release? The indices and the financials. Tesla, obviously. Google initially. See, as you add oscillators to this stuff starts encroaching on each other. So you just highlight it and it pops up. So crypto, if you're into that, AVAX and LINK or program buy. We got all sorts of program buys over here on the Mag 7 dash. Energy in the fins as well over here on the sector dash. So Duke Energy, NEE, November, Echo would be two stocks that you could possibly get into for that if you don't want to play the sector themselves. The spider sectors and the SPY ETF are just very liquid to trade. That's why we have those on here. We attempted to do a hover feature for each of these, but Pine Editor, which is what TradingView uses, version 6 and version 5, which is the older one. You'll get the hover, but it doesn't allow you to click on it. So you'd go to click on it because the hover comes above it, and you'd end up clicking on XLC, which would hover that. So we'll get rid of the options, Fusion Core. NVIDIA joined the fray. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing. Tesla's ripping. See, you could literally, this is not financial advice, obviously, is you could just stay on the SPY chart. You see a program buy on Tesla, get on your phone, get on Robinhood or Webull or E-Trade, whatever TD Ameritrade app you're using, and call up Tesla. So you don't need to have 6 monitors with 40 charts when you have this gear here. So let's go from IWM is absolutely tearing it up. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing. There you go. So that program buy most likely popped up down around here before anybody else noticed it, unless you're staring at the chart, but you wouldn't know how far it's going. You could just think it's a continuation of the bull flag, and someone might put a line up here and say, if it breaks that, then I'm going to buy it. But when this thing fires off a program buy, you can buy that thing as soon as it fires off because it's not going to stop. Right? Obviously, the program buy will stop, but that's just the algos buying it and driving up the volume. That doesn't mean when the program buy is over, it's going to drop. So we have a GARO Pro Buy triangle in God mode on the 4-hour time frame and a liquidity missile. So now you might see some consolidation, i.e. a bull flag. There's nothing on here other than put premium winning that would make me be concerned that this thing is going to roll over and die. So HIRO came unpegged from 1. It's down to 0.99. Great. 0.01 drop. Not a big deal. But when this thing starts accelerating, if somebody asks a dumb question about the H200 chips to Powell, which he has no business talking about, but he was in an interview a few months ago and he said stocks were overvalued and the market tanked. You should have probably just punted on that question and said, I'm not qualified to answer that. Let's see how our buddy Tesla's doing. That's nice. So if you've seen any of my YouTube videos, you'll see a liquidity missile, and then a buy triangle, and then continuation. I don't really write anything about the GammaDash as a whole unless there's a couple, waiting for dealer delta to turn green. Yes, launch time. Right. Just because this stuff is green doesn't mean this is going to just continually go up. The faster it goes up, the faster it goes down. Seeing it consolidation like we did here, i.e. a bull flag, very powerful. And to reiterate, once you see the buy, program buy on the Mag 7 dash or on the sector rotation dash, it might happen. So here's the bull flag. It might have happened here where you can jump in and make that much profit before your buddy who put a trend line up here or a resistance up here said, I'm going to wait till it gets past here. Well, the algos from Citadel or SIG are already buying it down here. Don't you want to do that? Yes, that's why we coded this that way. So back to what we used to do. SPY 15-minute, TD sequential, up to 5. Stochastic is overbought. The MACD is launched. Money flow, money's coming into it, and the Williams percent R is overbought. So you're left to flail around of, what does all this mean? Where now I can just sit back and say, all of the stuff under the hood is looking pretty solid. First bit of weakness though on the SPY is the call premium row, premium pressure row went from green to neutral. So even in the compact mobile mode, you can see the color changes, even though there's a lot of them. Now, granted, I mentioned our background of flying fighter jets. We can process a lot of information, and that's not a jab on anybody else. So if any of this stuff is complicated, shoot me an email. I'm sorry, DM on X. Let's get rid of the mobile friendly scaling. So you guys might think this is cluttered, but hopefully after I explained everything on how this stuff works, I don't need that huge chart. I just need this little window in the put wall, call wall, gamma flip. Showed you the X post earlier on how dealers were going to pin us at 684. We obviously blew through that. Dixon, dealer, delta are the two rows we look at to go through any sort of resistance. So you can see neutral premium to call premium winning. That stuff is pretty darn obvious because the table itself dynamically expands left and right. So even if you're flailing around on X on your phone, your periphery is going to see that that table is expanding, and you're going to lift your eyes up and see what's going on. Powell obviously knows what he's talking about. He's pretty good. I haven't really looked at the financials. Let's go check that out. Get rid of this guy here. Wow. So once again, the first thing that happened at 1400 2 p.m. East Coast time was a liquidity missile. Then we get the buy signal, and it's just boom, it's going. HIRO's positive, dealer implied exposure is positive, dealer delta is positive, liquidity is neutral-ish. VANNA is what I'd expect to see on a melt up, and volatility gamma probably was green earlier, and now it's yellow. Call premiums are winning. So this is all what's going on under the hood. So a lot of people would be in their Discord group saying scale, scale, scale. Maybe so, but they probably would have been saying that down here, right? Don't scale because you think the universe will reward you for scaling when you have all this data here that says, hey, I don't need to scale here. All this stuff is green. This is red. This is green. GammaBulldog said fuel for the fire on a melt up. Call premiums are winning. Why would I sell? Why would I scale? Maybe you can sell 1 or 2 contracts to get your money back. Not financial advice, by the way. One thing about TradingView that's a pain in the butt is when you do the whale levels and dark pool levels and FOMC levels, is everything's a level. And then when you go to click and drag, you mess up one of the levels. So once again, 2 p.m., first move was up on the 32nd. Drew a line there. Trading above it, we're bullish. Trading below it, we're bearish. If that level is above the gamma flip level, then you have dealer support. If a 15-minute candle closes above VWAP, then you have Algo program buying support as well. So there is a justification for levels. It's just choose your levels, or else every price is a level. And then at the end of the day, you can say, look, I called it. It stopped at this level. Well, when you have 30 whale levels and 30 signature prints, and the last 3 FOMC levels all in close proximity, every couple dollars is a level. Here we go with AI. So we're in power hour, and the 15 minutes looking pretty solid. Nothing under the hood that leads me to believe this thing's going to tip over other than the call premium going to neutral premium. Down here to the free gamma conviction oscillator. It's starting to curl over, but as long as it stays up here, it's pretty strong. So, which leads me into the RSI. So traditional RSI would be red when it's up in that area. We give you guys two options under settings. You can go traditional, which turns a strong RSI red. See over here on the right. To me, that's just counterintuitive. I think when it's strong, it's strong. I want to see green for go. And when it's oversold, it would be red. So whoever came up with that decades ago, whenever that was invented, we give you the ability to put it the way you want it. But GammaBulldog, our four dudes, we like green for good. It's strong like bull. Crypto's looking pretty solid. So you don't need to have 10 crypto charts open. You can just go, okay, cool. BNB's a program buy right now. Call it up on Robinhood or whatever app you're using and take a look at the chart there on your phone. We could have made one table probably that just has programs for the indices, the Mag 7, and the sectors in crypto, and you would just have 3 rows. But it's nice to have situational awareness of all of the components of that. So you can see it kind of change, right? So chain link might be neutral, and then it ticks yellow, so you get ready. So as soon as that program buy pops up, you're not surprised, because this stuff can pop up pretty quick. Tesla's another program buy, so it's been on and off since the press release. That thing is on fire. So during the day, if you follow me on X, I'll be watching this stuff and fire off program buy, program sell alerts if I'm not trading. He was asked what legacy he wanted to leave. And he said he wanted inflation down on 2%, labor market strong, and basically to give a good pass down to his replacement. So he just parrots the same stuff over and over again, which is the Fed's mandate, 2% inflation and a strong labor market. Ooh. They asked him if he was going to stay on the Fed Board of Governors after he's done in May, and he did a great job deflecting it. If he's not done talking in 3 minutes, I'm going to sign off. It's that'll be an hour for us, not including the press release. Excellent. So worked out perfectly. Big things right off the bat was a Tesla and Google program buy on the Mag 7 flow dash and IWM and XLF on the sector rotation dash. And NVIDIA popped in just for a split second is a program buy, and SPY and QQQ jumped in as well as XLE. Crypto went from a program buy to a program sell. You can see in the top left that everything is pretty much brown and red, which is our coding for not good. And you can see purple and yellow and purple and green are great to see. So broad-based buying, but not everything tripped a program buy here. And the Mag 7, with the filter, the Mag 7 dash isn't showing a SPY or QQQ Program BUY because it's a lot tighter than the sector rotation dash. And that is really because of the volatility of the Mag 7 stocks. We really wanted to keep that thing tight. So to get that 96% win rate with that filter on, you're not going to get as many signals, but the ones that you do get are going to be a lot stronger. So once again, for the vault, you get 7 days free, and all of this stuff comes with it. You get the liquidity alerts, so no more liquidity multiple overlays. You wait for the brown liquidity flush to sell, liquidity missile to possibly buy, and then when you get the green triangle along with the liquidity missile, wow. Then I cross-reference the GammaDash. All this stuff here comes with the GARO Pro. You can get the GARO Lite on GammaBulldog's TradingView free scripts page. There's a link in YouTube, and each video we post, we put that link on what all these different regimes are. The score up here only comes in the pro version. The buy and sell triangles come in the pro version, as well as the liquidity turds and the missiles there. This is completely free on TradingView. All of these tables and dashes are not. You can get them on Gumroad, which I scrolled to before, a 7-day free trial. And there's the link, and that link is also on my pinned post on X, and it's in each description as well. Let's see here. Let's see what Wall Street Jesus had to say. Russell 2000 heat map, look at that. So someone sees this 2 minutes ago. You have the sector rotation dash and the Mag 7 rotation dash telling you that the IWM Russell 2000 was a program buy right out of the gate. You're an hour and a half, hour and 26 minutes, 86 minutes total ahead of the random dude who's scanning FinTwit/FinX to see this post here. I believe this is Wall Street Jesus's free feed. That's it. Bank of America is now a program sell, so I'm sure that thing ripped for a while. Let's take one last look at that. Oh, that's nice to see. Not nice to see if you own it, but from my standpoint, you get you guys get to see the liquidity poop. You got to see the program sell, which probably kicked in as I was running my mouth. The free gamma conviction oscillator tipped over pretty quick, I'm sure. HIRO probably ticked down from 1 to 0 to now it's in the negative. So all that stuff I explained as it was going up on the SPY and Tesla and IWM, flip it the opposite way. So red HIRO, liquidity turd, put premium dominant, all this stuff condensed, fused together as best as possible with Pine V6 limitations, going away from having to guess, how far down is it going to go? Like the TD sequential is still green. If you're trading weeklies and you have a large amount, right? Your MACD just tipped over, but it hasn't crossed. The stochastic is still up here, hasn't tipped over yet. You might be thinking this thing is going to turn around and go up, which it may well. But if you're wanting to get in and out pretty quick, then seeing that liquidity poop and looking at this stuff start turning red and put premiums being dominant is a pretty good time to exit. Now, obviously, everybody's threshold for risk is different. So you might want to hold on to it. You might, I don't draw trend lines anymore on the charts, but you can obviously visualize a trend line, right? So there's a notional trend line going up here. Well, this thing sold off down to that notional trend line. So as you're looking at this chart, when you see the program sell, you can say, okay, I bought down here. If it hits this trend line, then I'm going to sell again. But seeing what's under the hood and watching these things tick around sure does save a lot of angst. Bank of America is not known for swing trading weeklies. So if you do that, good on you. Not my cup of tea. But the whole point of going there was to show you that, hey, I got a program sell on the Mag 7 dash, which I put in the banks manually in settings. So I came to that chart, saw the liquidity poop. Gamma conviction oscillator tipped over. HIRO's bad. Dealer delta's bad. Now call premiums are winning. All right. So one thing that you guys might not do that we do here at GammaBulldog is we do the FOMC level. I know in my X posts I say, we don't have any levels or lines. Obviously, that's not true. We have the gamma flip level, which happens to be the put wall for today. We have the call wall. And then we know that based on the GEX, the dealers are going to pin us at 684 today. And that's not me guessing. That's just pure market physics looking at the GEX data. Right? And then you know that if it goes below the gamma flip / put wall, dealers are going to swing from buying dips to they're going to be full on sell mode. And if a 15-minute candle closes below VWAP, then the algo programs are going to flip to sell mode. And that's when you really get the cascade selling. But as of right now, the SPY, there's nothing I can see on the SPY right now under the hood other than the neutral premiums from call premium winning to lead me to believe that this thing is going to be bad. So next step is waiting for the mock. So where are you, buddy? Hide that guy. Get rid of the sector rotation dash. And then when the mock gets released, I just get it from Financial Juice. It's the easiest place to do it. Come in here to settings. We'll just program in the mock, right? So how funny would it be if this was actually what it became? It's a sell side. Just once again, I know I've repeated myself, but for the people that are still around, here's a good reminder. There you go. So if it's a $1.8 billion buy based on the other stuff that's in the algorithm, then it should gap up $5.48. So you could jump in a Delta 15 1 DTE and sell it open with the premium spike, probably. And the implied volatility on SPY 1 DTEs doesn't get astronomical like it does for like GME or NVIDIA or Galaxy, but you can still make 100, 200%. So based on what Jerome said, hopefully the Santa rally kicked off today, and it should be strong into the end of the year. If you guys have any questions, once again, leave a comment, send me a message on X, or heck, I'll give you my email, GammaBulldog@gmail.com. No risk to buying the vault. The vault includes everything, and you get a free 7-day trial. So if you don't like it after 7 days, you might not trade crypto. So this thing, just don't call it up or hide it, right? All right. Everything looks great. Thanks for staying this long, all. Happy trading.